Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Amanda Pritchard, the Events and Outreach Specialist in OIT. This is my first live training with an audience. I realize that for many, you would prefer having a dialogue. I absolutely welcome your comments and your questions, and I'll be pausing throughout the presentation to read and respond. There is a live event Q&A box, so feel free to comment or post in there any of your questions throughout the presentation. Today's training will go over how to schedule live events in Teams. Currently, my plan is for this to be the first of a three-part short video series on Teams live events. I want to break it down into smaller parts so that it's easier to answer questions and show you the technology without it being overwhelming. My goal is to find opportunities in technology to assist you to hurdle over the obstacles we are all facing. My intention is for the training to only last about 15 to 20 minutes and to allow for time in answering your questions that you can pose via the chat box. I know it's a little different than a lot of trainings, but I felt the best way to demonstrate Teams Live is to actually use it so that you can experience it. Also, given the number of participants, I thought that this would be more manageable for both you and myself. Since I'm running this show on my own, you may see me need a moment to go back and forth on screens, which will only further the point that it definitely takes more than one person to seamlessly run a virtual event. I'll be running the slides, answering the Q&A, and talking. This is a test on my ability to multitask. So I ask for your grace and your patience if you notice a delay or if it takes me a moment to answer questions. Just a few points to clarify. At least these were questions I had when I attended my first live event. I cannot see you. You can keep your lounge pants on. I cannot hear you, so snack away. You don't need to silence the dogs or the kids. You can submit an anonymous question, and it is truly anonymous. Or you can do a general post, and I will be able to address you by name. Feel free to use whatever option makes you the most comfortable. I'll try to pause at the end of each slide and review questions. If I see something I know I'll be answering, then I'll wait to respond. Don't feel like you're being ignored. So now that we have the ground rules and expectations, let's move forward with the training. So my role in OIT is events. Typically, like you, I'm in charge of hosting in-person events and conferences. But with the shift to remote work, I've had to shift my process to be able to host virtual events. For those of you who automatically assume that being in IT means I'm predisposed to being a techie, let me tell you a secret. My graduate degree is in liberal arts. So trust me when I say, if I can make this pivot towards technology, you can too. With the transition online, we've had a lot of requests that have been coming in asking for assistance in setting up Teams live events. If you want to broadcast a Teams meeting, bringing remote presenters and screen sharing into the event, you can produce your live event in Teams. A Teams live event is designed to host multiple presenters sharing information with a larger audience in a lecture-based format. You may have participated in a live event through the HR forum, Dr. Benson's presidential address, or my favorite, the OIT forum, all of which are simply scheduled through Teams. You do not need special permissions. It's already on your Teams app. I'm going to say that again, since this is one of the most common misconceptions about Teams Live. You do not need to request a Teams Live event to be set up for you. You can set it up from your calendar. So if you're there now and you want to go to your Teams event, you can. To set up a live event, you go to your Teams app, just like you would set up a Teams meeting. From your Teams app calendar, you would look to the right side of the screen and use the drop-down box by New Meeting to select Live Event. You should be able to see that on the screen now. It's a simple drop-down that's already on your calendar. The pop-up box will allow you to enter your meeting details, and you'll need to schedule all live events from your team's calendar. I'm checking the chat just to see if we have anything else. Okay, moving forward. To schedule, you'll need to enter the title, date, and time of your meeting. You don't need to include a location since we're currently working remotely. However, in the future, for those of you who want to offer a hybrid of virtual meetings and in-person events, once we're back on campus, the location option will allow you to share the details about your meeting room. This way, whether you continue to offer virtual events when we return to campus, and you can also allow for people to attend in person if they so choose. Any questions so far? I'm going to move to the next one. Nope. Just a moment. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. See, this is why you need someone assisting you. To schedule a live event, did I already say all this? I did. I'm rocking it, you guys. See, this is why I asked in advance for grace and patience. Okay, sorry about that. The next step is choosing the roles of who would actually be hosting the event. If you need further clarification on the roles, we've got a one sheet that I designed that breaks down each person and their tasks. Don't feel like you need to read this whole document right now, but do take a moment to go online and review the best practices one sheet if you need assistance on what a person's role is and what they're responsible for in a Teams live meeting. You'll want to know who will serve as a presenter, a producer, and a moderator. For those giving the talk, the lecturers, the speakers, they will be added as presenters. For your event support team, the person running the slides and the person running the meeting, they will need to be added as producers. You'll need more than one producer for the meeting, as you can see in just mine. Oh, so sorry, I'm going real quick. Answer Sarah's question. She asked where you can find the one sheet. Excellent question, Sarah. Thank you so much. They are on the OIT website. I'm going to send out these slides after the presentation, and the link is on there, so you'll receive that. But they're on the OIT website /O365, I believe. That's from memory, but I'll make sure and get it to you after the presentation. Okay, any other questions that need to be asked right now? Okay, I'm going to move on, but please keep them coming. I want to address you as your questions arise. I don't want this to go too quickly for anyone. So you'll need more than one producer, as you can see, just because it's a little bit much to try to answer everything at once. But you also want to limit the producers. One reason is they have full control over the meeting and the content that's being shared. You don't want people duplicating efforts or placing content on the screen. Another reason to limit producers is that it's very easy to select the end button, which stops the entire meeting. And you don't want somebody inadvertently ending the live event because you can't restart it once it's been closed. Let's just say that's a lesson that's been learned. So be sure you have the proper levels in advance so that you don't have to worry with who has appropriate access once your meeting starts. You can change someone's status by clicking the arrow underneath their name and changing it from the drop down from producer to presenter or vice versa. If roles change before your event starts, but once the event starts, those roles are set. You can add in external presenters, somebody outside the university, but not producers. Okay, any questions before the next slide? I was anticipating more interaction. You're an awfully quiet class. Okay, moving along. After you've determined those presenting and producing, you want to select the next button and move forward to the next section. Here you'll see the settings that will allow you to personalize your reach and your interactions. The default is to have your meeting set to organization-wide. Attendees need to be logged into Teams or have a net ID and password. So for most of our UTD events, that's what you will select. However, there's occasions where you may want something different. If your meeting is private, if it's dealing with ongoing research or to a specific limited audience, such as a small team training, you'll want to select people and groups to only permit those groups in watching your event. You can add in a specific Teams channel or group, for instance, that they alone could attend the private training. You would want to change your presentation to public if you're presenting to students that do not yet have a net ID assigned, or to attendees outside of UT Dallas, such as donors or alums. You'll want to select the public option. That means that they will not be required to log in or to authenticate. It also means that anyone with the link can join. So from a security standpoint, you want to be aware of where you share that link and the information presented to be sure it's content that can be shared with people outside of UTD. We're moving on to a new section. Are there any questions so far? Okay. Oh, I had one. Okay, Anonymous said, for a class of 50, can you select that as a group and save it for the next time? It would be set up as a Teams group or channel. So as I understand it, that would be your established group and you would share it directly to them. So it would automatically be saved because it would be on your Teams account. So hopefully that answered that question. Okay. So once you determine how you want your audience to join, you need to scroll down on the permission page to select your production details. Most of those are automatically defaulted for you, so you don't need to change or edit much. I'm going to touch on each one just so you understand what each option entails. So I'm getting some questions, so I'm going to pause and go back here so you see my squirrel mentality here. Public, great. Public, yes, sharing it public would be great for prospective students. Exactly. For anything recruiting for outside events, you would want your event to be public so you can reach that maximum audience. Absolutely correct. Sarah asked, would we be using this for prospective student events? Therefore, the public link would be the best option. Yes, just to affirm, public would be the best. Just be aware of where you're sharing it and just be aware of the content in that meeting to make sure that it's nothing that's private for the university. Sabrina, I got your note about how to set up a Teams group. I'm going to put a pin on that one just so that we can move forward because that's a little bit more detailed off of this training for scheduling it up. Let's see, and one more. So you can schedule regular reoccurring events. No, not as a live event, but you could have that group in Teams and just submit that link or that event to them so that they could access it as a part of that group. So there's not a way to set up multiple recurring live events that I'm aware of. However, every day I feel like Microsoft is coming out with new things for us. So that may happen in the future. Okay, now y'all are talking. Let me get some more here. Kelly asked for a virtual conference where our audience are international wide. Should we select open to the public? If not public, will we need to have individual invitees' emails? So yes, you would be adding in their emails just like you're adding it just to, like a regular Teams meeting. You would type in their name if they're not part of the UTD system. If you're doing it international and they do not have a net ID assigned, then yes, you would make it public. And yes, you would need their email. So hopefully I answered that. Get more. Let's see here. I have to move my screen. And it's not going to let me. So give me just a second. Can you take attendance? I'm going to save that one. Okay. So some of these that are coming in now are things I'm going to cover. So I'm just going to I'm going to jump back over real quick because we're about to get into some of your questions. So if you'll hold on just and be patient with me one moment. These are the options that are available to you. Recording allows the attendees to keep a record of the presentation, a recording of it. So if you want to be able to be the one to distribute a final copy of the presentation, say one that you might want edited, shortened, or scrubbed, then it's best to deselect that option. Keeping it selected allows the attendees the rights to forward the meeting as they see fit. So you have no control over where it goes. That may not be a concern, but it's worth considering. Captions should be left on. The attendee will have the ability to select closed captioning after the meeting starts. The production team cannot start closed captioning, but by selecting this option, it allows that, that feature, and which is important to point out for accessibility purposes. Anyone that's hearing impaired or speaks another language will need to know about this feature so they can participate in your meeting at its full capacity. Be sure you communicate to your attendees that they can turn on closed captioning once the meeting starts. It also allows you to come across and automatically translate in different languages. So that's a very important feature. I know some of you are asking about international prospects. The attendee engagement report is like your class roll sheet. It keeps your attendance. It will automatically tell you who attended your event, what time they entered, they left, and it will provide you with their email. It's a very useful resource for sending out your follow-up survey to review who stayed for the entire meeting and to get a final count of attendees to report to your department. Q&A is not automatically selected, but I really feel like it should be. Maybe I'll mention that to my IT friends. Here's why it should be selected. If you want your audience to be able to interact through the live chat like what you are doing, or to be able to inform you if they're having technical issues or conduct any sort of polling, then Q&A should be activated. Select that box if you want to allow for that interaction, and be sure you secure a moderator to answer those questions during the event. So I'm going to return to questions. I think I see one. Okay, we covered the attendee engagement report. Let's see, Cynthia asked, in WebEx, we can share a host key in case we need someone to quickly take over, for instance, if a computer crashes. What would be the best way to have a backup in place in case something happens to the producer and is suddenly not able to do that? Fantastic question, Cynthia. Thank you for asking that. So that's one of the reasons I mentioned that you need to have more than one producer just in case internet crashes. For me personally, I have changed my modem, I think 3 times, and got a new internet service just to ensure I have the enough bandwidth to be able to do these. I highly, highly recommend that events have more than one producer. You need a backup for your backup, just in case, because you don't want something to happen that could derail your entire event. How do you access the attendee engagement report is the next question that we just had come in. After your meeting has concluded, you would go back into the event and open it up. And I think I have a slide on that, but in case I don't, I'll finish answering. But you would go back into your event and open it up just like you would to view it on your calendar. In that box, you're going to see a couple of options for you to download your recording, download the Q&A, and download the attendee engagement report. It usually goes live within a few minutes after your meeting concludes. So it takes a few minutes for teams to produce that report for you, but then they'll have it available for you. Okay. Okay, Elizabeth asked an amazing question. Suggestions for selecting a producer if you have no TA in your class. So this is great. So I would assume, Elizabeth, just for a point of clarification, are you a professor, or you're looking at using this from a teaching standpoint? The live event does always record. Ashley asked. I'm waiting for Elizabeth to just clarify that point. But I'd always recommend having a second producer, even if you want to have an admin join. It sounds like, Elizabeth, you're looking at doing this from a teaching perspective, which would be a little bit different than my mind shift, or my mind would need to shift, because I'm seeing this as university event perspectives. So Cynthia asked, are the analytics, such as attendee engagement report, available to producers/moderators? So, point of clarification, I have assigned additional terminology than what Microsoft assigns, because I think that's important to determine the different roles. So in the actual meeting, there's only 2 roles that Microsoft offers. There's the producer and the presenter. So the producer is what's seen as the owner of the event. So those reports would be available to them. So in my next training that I plan on offering, it's going to go more into those details kind of behind the scene, and I'm trying to focus this one on just that strict scheduling aspect. Okay, looking through. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Is the producer the only one who can go back and select the option to download the attendee engagement report? So yeah, producer, but you have more than one, and that's usually your, an events person or whoever, professor, that would be in charge of the event. So they would be the one to access that, and then they could send that out to whoever needs it afterwards. So typically when I run an event, I run that report afterwards and let my supervisors know what our attendance rates were and what areas maybe we're attending. Okay, thank you guys. Man, awesome questions. You're keeping me on my toes, and I appreciate that so much. So I'm gonna move forward. So sorry if I've already double covered anything, but let's see here. Okay, so we've gone through, we've set up the presenters and the producers for your event. The next step would be in being able to invite your attendees. So the event will be forwarded as a calendar request to anyone that you listed as a presenter or a producer. Then you'll need to copy the attendee link from the top of the page. So that's a very critical point. It's easy to copy the wrong link. Let's just say, again, lesson learned, and I would like to prevent you all from repeating the lessons I've had to learn. So if you go to the top of that page, you'll see the drop down on the screen where it says Get Attendee Link. Once you copy that, you can paste it or embed it into your invitation. One warning. Don't go into a Teams calendar and send the link by a Teams calendar request. Teams will create a Teams meeting and add a different link on the bottom of that calendar invite. And the people that you invited will actually attend a very different meeting without your presentation. So let's don't ask how I know that. Let's just say, again, a best practice. Embed that attendee link into an email in Outlook and send it that way. Okay, and in just 10 slides, you learned how to schedule a Teams live event. This is just the scheduling portion. We'll have another video that goes into the preparation and more of what those roles and responsibilities are. And then another video into the actual production, the behind the scenes of the event. I have a training scheduled for June 19th at 2 that we just extended the audience to. Right now we've got 50 attendees. We extended the next audience to be 75 so that more people will be able to participate. But I'd like to know from you if you feel like it'd be beneficial to you all to have a training before that. Please let me know. I will work with HR. They have been amazing supporters for us to get this information out there, because it is my heart's cry to be able to help share the resources and the knowledge that we have. So if you're looking for other ways to connect with OIT, or just to hear the latest on what new technology is coming, tips on how to use current systems in place, please feel free to follow our social media accounts. I'm going to post it in our announcements just so you can have the link. And I see we've got several questions that have come in, so give me just a moment. Okay, I think we already, let's see here. Terry reaffirmed that sending the right link is critical. Let's see. Where do I sign up? Katie asked, where do I sign up for the next team's trainings? HR has been amazing. They've hosted these the same way you signed up for this one. You will sign up through, log into Galaxy and then go to Leo. And if it's full, let us know. I can look at extending it. If you feel like this session worked well for you, we can do another live event, but I'm absolutely open to your feedback. I want to know and do what works best for everyone. So when is the production, Sarah asked? When, because that's what everybody really wants to know. It's not just scheduling it, but it's behind the scenes actually running the event. I have not scheduled that yet, Sarah. I need to write a script and work on a presentation. And so I haven't gotten to that just yet. I've been busy helping produce some of these. So I hope to have a date for you soon, and I will try to work with Terry and Jillian to get that information out to everybody as soon as it's scheduled. Okay. So Anonymous said, for the link you are saying, don't get it in the calendar, but do it through the scheduling process in Teams. So if you're sending the attendee link, send it in Outlook. Send it in Outlook. Don't open up a Teams meeting, because Teams puts a little blurb in there automatically when you send it that says join Teams meeting. So people will join that meeting as opposed to reading what you diligently wrote and say, click here. They're going to click the other button that they see, because people click buttons. So send that link through Outlook or through your newsletter, put it in that way. Let's see. Thank you. Pia said, thank you for sharing. Okay, Katie, I think I answered where to sign up. Okay, Barbara voted for an earlier meeting. So thank you, Barbara. That's helpful feedback. Can you add attendees after initially sending the invites? Elizabeth asks. Yes, you can. You can go back into that meeting and you can add. So just 1 second. Y'all are getting ahead of me. So I'm going to pause on questions for just half a second and finish my slides just really quickly. So bear with me. So from right now, you know how to schedule live events from your own computer. And I would challenge you all to test this feature out, to set up a few live events and practice what you've learned. You can't break anything from practicing it, and it's going to make you more familiar with the program. If there are additional questions, feel free to open a help desk ticket, or in addition, I've taken it upon myself, and Jillian approved that we're going to host a quick Microsoft Teams meeting, so it actually allows us all to see faces, and I can answer your questions. You can come on video and chat with me there. So I'm going to post that in the announcements in just a moment. We'll see if this works. But if that's helpful for you, I did want to provide you all with that opportunity to have that interaction, so that you don't feel like I'm just coming at you from this screen. That did not work. We're going to see, this is live events. Open hyperlink. Okay, I'm going to try to figure out how to get into that meeting and share the link with you. But for now, I'm just messing up my presentation. So give me just a second and I'll see if I can't figure out how to make an announcement and share that link with you. Sorry, this is what I get for multitasking. But just a quick other point that I wanted to share. If you are producing your first live event for a larger audience and you need assistance, I have added it, my supervisors have worked with me to add it into my role, that I am happy to work with you at your first event and to do it side by side with you, to offer it as a training. I know that there's some departments, math, I'll be working with chemistry, are going to be doing that. So it's a live hands-on training. You don't have to do it all by yourself, but if you just open up an assist ticket, then I would be happy to work with you and to train you more one-on-one or departmentally, so that you feel confident and competent in hosting events. So let's see here. Can you show a video in the live event? The producers cannot. And the issue with a live event is that there's a little bit of a delay. So what I see on my screen, and when you all hear me talking, there's a 10 to 15 second delay. So playing and streaming any video can be just a little bit difficult to monitor and to moderate. So it's not highly recommended yet. Again, that may be something that improves later on. Okay. That is an anonymous said it's a very important note to send in Outlook. That should be noted, could be noted in your slides, please. Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. I will add that and take that suggestion because I would love to save people from what I experienced. Okay, Barbara, if we're having an event panel really soon, what's the best place to go with questions? Me, please email assist@utdallas.edu. Please, they'll be routing any of those. If you just mentioned that you need help with a Teams live event, they'll be routing those to me, and I'll get those and do my best to assist you. Okay, so I'm trying to publish these. Let's see here. Aurora asks, so do you have to add attendees to the Teams invite and send a link in Outlook? Okay, perfect clarification. So Teams will create that attendee link. I'm going to see if I can go back here, Aurora, just so you can see it again. So right up here at the top of the screen, you would click that in Teams, okay? So and from there, you would email out in your Outlook email, you would email out that link, okay? All right, checking for more questions. Okay, looks like we just got it up in the announcements. Let me see, I have to scroll through because I'm seeing so many. Okay, if you scroll through the published Q&A, you will see in there a very long, terrible looking link. But if you want to click that, we can carry this conversation over to a Teams meeting so that we can all talk to each other. And I really do appreciate you all taking your time to listen to this session. I truly hope it was helpful. I hope that it helps you move at the speed of Bright. And I'll be moving our conversation over to the other meeting. Let's see, Cynthia asked, should OIT create a list of mentors that are able or willing to help others with live events, similar to what many schools did with the faculty for e-learning? Cynthia, you are just in sync with my mind. I appreciate that feedback. We are actually working on that. I have two calls scheduled next week to work on that. We haven't got those mentors totally trained and created just yet, but it's in the works. Okay, so for now, I'm going to stop answering questions. I'll move over to that Teams meeting. There is no obligation to attend. I will be there for you. If you have additional questions, I'll be happy to support you in any way possible. Thank you all for watching. I truly hope this was beneficial to you.